Hello and welcome back to another video. So I'm really excited about today's episode because not only will we be testing out the Hasselblad X2D 100c, but we'll also be doing the first overnight road trip in the newly converted van. And I say newly converted, it's nearly finished, still quite a few things to do, but anyway, this will be the first overnight in it and I can't wait to see what we can find. So let's hit the road and I'll see you in the mountains. So I've got to get a wiggle on. The sun is setting. Oh, can we get the shot? So if you're not familiar with the Hasselblad X2D, it's a 100 megapixel medium format camera with 7 stops of in-body image stabilisation, phase detection autofocus and a 1 terabyte built-in SSD drive. So no memory cards needed, unless you want to back things up, of course. So I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit of a tricky journey and I arrived right at the start of the golden hour. My first location was really busy, so I had to opt for something else, and I quickly found this spot here, which I think works really well. We've got this little gravel track here which leads the eye up to the Snowdon Horseshoe, and at the moment there's some wonderful rays of light coming through the valley, not hitting the mountains but fanning out. But this little road here kind of leads the eye towards the light, which I think is really cool. I've opted for an X-Pan crop, which is something I've always wanted to try. I've never had that on any of the cameras that I've used in the past, so this is really cool, framing it in camera. We'll talk a little bit more about the crops a little bit later on, but yeah, I think this is a nice one to start the trip off, even though it feels a bit rushed. Anyway, let's take this shot now. I'm at f11, 20th per second, histogram's nicely balanced, 2-second timer, focused on the fence about a third of the way in. Yeah, let's hope there's more to come. Well, that was a little more rushed than I anticipated. However, I thoroughly enjoyed taking the shot. Hopefully it came out okay. Now, just to let you know, this video is in paid partnership with Hasselblad, so I'll be collaborating with them actually over the next couple of months, which I'm really excited about. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what this camera can do and yeah, put it through its paces over the next couple of days and really just share my experience using it. So I've done quite a bit to the van since I last spoke about it. I've built all the furniture, finished all the carpeting off and got the sink plumbed in, the fridge is installed. Lots going on behind the scenes. I've been really busy just trying to get everything ready for this trip away, but I'm going to talk more about the van in a separate video. I think I'll do a full van tour once everything's completed. We still need to get the cushions done and the diesel heater sorted and 1 or 2 snagging items finished off. But yeah, it's coming along a treat, and like I mentioned before, this is the first overnight and I'm going to have to make do with an airbed on top of these bench seats, but that will be absolutely fine. But anyway, I wanted to talk a bit more about the X2D before I get my head down, take some rest, because yeah, what a beautiful looking camera it really is. As soon as you pick it up and hold it, you're just taken aback by the craftsmanship, if you will, that's gone into designing and making such an amazing looking camera. I just wanted to talk about the crop modes, because this is something that I mentioned in the field then when we were taking that shot. I was using the X-Pan crop. This has got a lot of different crops built into it, and you can select the different crop ratios as you wish, and they're non-destructive then when you get them back to your editing software. So if you didn't like the crop, you can change it, you still have the full resolution of your image. Now, one of the things I've done is actually mapped the crop ratios to the button here. So when I click that, it brings up the crop ratios and I can just cycle through them. And what's even better is you can actually program just the ones that you want to see, if that makes sense. So say there's only 3 or 4 from the whole list that you actually like, you can just select the ones that you want and it will just cycle through them, which is really, really nice. I really like that. Anyway, just a few initial thoughts on the X2D. I think what I need to do now is get my head down, get some rest, and then we'll head out for sunrise. And I've got 3 or 4 really cool places to visit tomorrow, which I just can't wait to get stuck into. So good morning, and yes, it was a rather chilly night, I have to say, but we're just starting to get a bit of glow on the Snowdon Range in the background there, which is absolutely beautiful. Just some very warm peachy red light just hitting the tops of the mountains there, and there's quite a bit of mist and haze about this morning as well. Really tranquil conditions, absolutely beautiful. So I'm just working on the composition here with these rocks in the foreground looking back towards the mountains. Looks like it's going to be another blue sky day though, but yeah, what a beautiful start. So the problem with that shot was the bush over on the right hand side. So I think I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and try to get a cleaner shot from over here on these rocks. It'll be interesting to see how the ibis works. It's going to be shooting this at about 1/4 of a second. So I played around with a few different compositions back there, just shooting handheld, trying to get the best composition on those rocks. It was quite tricky actually. It felt unbalanced a little bit, so I moved a bit further around and I found this wonderful collection just here in front of me that looked absolutely fantastic. And this warm golden light now is hitting these rocks, and it's a beautiful contrast between the blue reflections from the sky and these warm tones in the light. I think it works really well, and I am focus stacking this image because I'm on the 55mm lens here. I'm quite close to these rocks in the foreground, which means my depth of field is probably going to fall away. So I'm focusing on the rocks and then one on the background as well. And it seems to be working out quite well. So one of the things you really notice when you're using the X2D is how big and bright and rich the screen is. It really is a fantastic viewing experience. And you can customize it a little bit as well, so you can show your histogram. You can actually move your histogram around, see various different settings, or even have a clean setting on there so you can just see the image. It really is a beautiful screen to look at. It's very, very sensitive as well to the touch, so it's very responsive. Absolutely fantastic panel. If you want to zoom in on your image to preview it, you just double tap on it anywhere on the screen and it will just go into that specific part. But what I really like is pushing the dial in on the right hand side here, and that just takes you to that specific part of the image where you focus, which is really handy. So it's great for checking your focus. Yeah, what an absolutely beautiful morning it has been so far. And I've got a few different locations in mind for the rest of the day. Hopefully we're going to take in another lake, maybe some waterfalls, and then hopefully we're going to get to a coastal location as well for sunset. I can't wait to see what else we can capture with the X2D. So I moved a bit further around the lake. I wasn't really sure what was around this side, but I thought I might try and get a shot looking back towards Capel Currig. And there's some absolutely amazing light and beautiful reflections here in this water. It's almost like two lakes, but they're joined together by this very narrow pass. Compositionally it works really well. We've got the reeds on the left hand side and it just recedes off, and the light hitting the mountains in the background looks really nice. A couple of buildings as well, which are just catching the light, which I think is really good. Now, the reason I've got the tripod set up, even though I'm at the 60th of a second and I could easily handhold this shot, I just wanted to shoot it through a period of time as the light comes through the scene. So yeah, that's the reason really I've got the tripod set up, just so I can maintain that composition really. But yeah, absolutely lovely. F11, 60th of a second, again focus stacking, one on the reeds in the foreground, one in the background, should give me enough depth of field. Yeah. So the lens I'm using today is the XCD 55mm lens, and that has a field of view in full frame terms of about 43mm. And I have to say, I haven't found it restrictive at all at this location. I think this particular location really suits this focal length, and it's one of the reasons actually why I chose to come and shoot here this morning and yesterday evening, because the sweeping views here are fantastic and it's quite easy to pick out different details within the landscape. So haven't felt restricted at all. So earlier, a couple of geese, you might even be able to hear them in the background, swam through my composition. So I opened my aperture up to f2.5, cranked my shutter speed to 750th of a second, and took a couple of shots as they came through the composition. Now, I have to say, they were some distance away from me, but I'm hoping with the 100 megapixel sensor I'll be able to crop in and maybe see all the wonderful details in their feathers, because the light was, yeah, coming across really nice. Providing I've got a sharp image, I think I should be able to crop in and pull out some lovely details. Be interesting to see anyway. So I've just been to visit those waterfalls I was talking about earlier, and the light was too harsh, so I abandoned that idea. And instead I've come down to Llyn Gwynant, and I'm hoping to get a shot here looking down the lake towards the mountains in the background. Actually quite tricky conditions, blue sky, harsh light, and a bit of breeze too. So it'll be interesting to see what we can come up with. So I played around with a few different compositions at this location. It's been very, very difficult. I've been here about 2 hours now, mainly because of the very, very harsh light, very windy conditions as well, making it quite tricky. So I come the other side of this stone wall here and I'm looking through the trees at the mountains beyond, and I think this is definitely a better composition. So there's a few problems that come to mind with this shot. Firstly is depth of field. So to be able to get the stone wall and the mountains beyond sharp, I need to stop the aperture down to f13. Focus stacking will be very, very difficult here because the branches are moving, and that'll make stitching the images together really, really challenging. So I've opted to stop the aperture down to f13. That's given me enough sharpness, I think, in the foreground and the mountains. So that's fine. My other issue is because the branches are moving, I need to get a quick enough shutter speed to be able to freeze the motion in those branches. So I've boosted my ISO up to 200, which has given me 125th of a second, which freezes that motion. So that's working out quite well. So it's just a case of balancing those two things to try to get it to work. Just waiting for the light to hit the mountains, and I think it's pretty much in the right place now. So focusing on the background there gives me a nice depth of field. 2-second timer. There we go. Right, I'll put this one up now, and then we're going to make our way down the coast on about a 3.5 hour drive to get to our location for sunset. So I'll see you there. After taking the 3-hour journey south, I find myself walking the Ceredigion coastal path in search of a sunset photo. So going back to the user experience, shooting with the X2D, what is it actually like? Well, I think it's a very, very refined experience. It's very minimalist. I think that's the best word. It's a minimalist camera for photographers. Now, this doesn't have video, it doesn't have any sort of bells and whistles. It really is a photography camera for photography purists, I guess. They've stripped it right back. There's only buttons where buttons need to be. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this last couple of days. I'm really hopeful I can get an image. We're heading back over the headland there, and I think there's a peninsula that sticks out, which looks really cool. And there's a couple of spots I've already seen back this way for sunset, so I'm really looking forward to it. Let's go, let's find a photo. So this Peninsula is absolutely fantastic, but here's the big but, it really needs a wide angle lens to make it work. I've tried various different sort of areas now. Nothing's going to work with a 55 XCD lens, it really needs a wide angle lens. So I'm going to retrace my footsteps, head back along the coastal path to a couple of locations, I think 2 actually, that will work with the 55mm focal length. So let's get cracking. So everything is all framed up now, just waiting for that perfect moment of light just to catch the house, hopefully. I think it will do. So I'm going to grab this image now on my f9.5, 20th of a second. Yeah, what more to say? So what a trip it's been, and I do hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. It's been so good to get away in the van finally. You know, I've wanted to do this for about 20 years, you know, build a self-converted camper van. So to finally get it kind of half done is, yeah, it feels great, it really does. Anyway, that wraps the video up. If you enjoyed it, you might like the one up here. Big thanks to Hasselblad, and a massive thanks to you guys. Without your support, I just couldn't make videos like this. So yeah, thanks again. Hope to see you all next week.